What would you do if the person you fell in love with online turned out to be hiding something life-changing? For 55-year-old Patricia Henshaw from Melbourne, that question became a nightmare she never escaped. She met him in a quiet Wednesday night. His name was Daniel Cole, charming, confident, and always saying the right thing. Within weeks, Patricia felt seen for the first time in years, but behind the warmth office messages, something didn't add up. His story shifted. His words felt her heart, and one detail, just one, would shatter everything. What would you have done? Would you have kept believing? Or would you have listened to that small voice in the back of your mind whispering, "Something's wrong"? A sigh. Watch this story unfold. Try to piece together the clues Patricia missed. See if you can uncover the truth before she does. Her friends warned her. Her daughter begged her to stop. But love can make even the sharpest mind ignore the obvious. Patricia's story began as a hopeful romance and ended with questions no one could answer. Where did Daniel go? What did he want? And why did Patricia's bank account and her peace of mind vanish overnight? Stay with me. Every message, every phone call, every late-night whisper hides a clue. By the end, you'll realize that truth was staring her in the face all along. Patricia Henshaw was 55 years old, a retired nurse from Melbourne. Twice divorced, the first husband violent, with words and fists, the second absent even when he sat beside her. She lived alone in a small weatherboard home in a street lined with jacarandas. From the outside, her life looked calm, but inside those walls, silence had become her only company. Her son worked long hours in London. Her daughter had built a life in Singapore. Calls came once a week, sometimes less. The person who knew her best, Veronica Palmer, her old college roommate, still called every Sunday, always ending with, "You've got to get out more, Pat." But getting out meant facing a world that made her feel like she no longer mattered. She used to care for patients, hundreds of them, holding their hands through pain and fear. Now, she was the one aching for connection. She wasn't searching for adventure, or passion, or excitement. She just wanted someone to remember her birthday, someone to ask how her day had been and actually listen. That single message, for simple words, would unravel everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and safety. It was the beginning of the story she'd never get to finish. It was October 2023. The weather in Melbourne was warming, and so was Patricia's. Quiet hope. After weeks of hesitation, she downloaded an app called Silver Connections. Her profile was simple, a single smiling photo and one honest line. Retired nurse Wo still believes in old-fashioned romance. He said he was 42, a cafe owner from Kona, Hawaii. His pictures were sunlit, cropped just right, the kind that looked natural but planned. Warm brown eyes, graying temples, a man who seemed at ease with the world, the kind of ease Patricia hadn't felt in years. From that moment, the messages never stopped. Morning greetings, good night wishes, photos of beach sunsets, and small compliments that made her cheeks warm again. He spoke with patience, humor, and charm, the kind that made loneliness feel like it never existed. To her, it felt like meeting someone who saw her really saw her. But while she was falling into the rhythm of their words, something crucial slipped past their notice. Every photo he sent looked perfect, but no two were ever taken in the same place. For 6 months, from October 2023 to March 2024, Patricia and Bradley spoke every single day. No skipped mornings, no silent nights. He remembered everything she said. Her mother's maiden name, her favorite money painting, her exact coffee order, 2 sugars, no cream. It was as if he'd studied her life like a map, tracing every small detail until he knew it by heart. His messages arrived before dawn, before even the birds stirred. Every word crafted with warmth, every conversation deep enough to feel real. He sent voice notes from the beaches of Kona, the sound of waves in the background, his tone gentle, patient, healing. He spoke about loss, how he'd buried his wife 3 years earlier after a battle with cancer, how the house felt empty, how Hawaii became his escape, how the cafe gave him purpose again. His words carried pain that felt genuine, cracks she wanted to help mend. With every passing week, her world began to orbit around him, her meals, her schedule, Her moods, friends noticed she was happier. Veronica teased her a booth Hawaiian mystery man. But Patricia didn't mind. After years of loneliness, she finally felt chosen again. She had no reason to doubt him, not yet. But the first test of trust was just around the corner, and it would come from an unexpected message. By April, the rhythm of their love felt steady. To steady dot, but small cracks began to show every time Patricia asked for a video call. His camera broke. Once it was a cracked, another time it was poor connection, and once a power outage across all of Kona. Convenient, always Belleville, barely. Even his background noises changed. He'd claimed to be sitting by the beach, yet the sound behind him was unmistakably city traffic. The photos he sent always scrapped at the shoulders or chest. No surroundings, no context, just perfectframing. Almost like they'd been designed to hide more than their Eve. Ailed, Veronica noticed first, during any of their calls, she said what Patricia refused to consider. One evening, they talked about his cafe. Said it was on Kamehameha Boulevard. A week later, he mentioned deliveries from the south side. The geography didn't match. There was no south side near that address. Still, Patricia brushed it off. She wanted to believe him. Needed to. Then came the smallest slip, the hint that should have shattered the illusion. He spoke about having coffee with a regular customer named Mrs. Connie. But days later, when Patricia mentioned her, he said, "Pooh." The lie passed quietly, unnoticed. Patricia laughed it off. She didn't know it yet, but that moment, that single inconsistency, was the thread that could have unraveled everything. On March 28, 2024, Patricia's phone buzzed with a message that stopped her breath. After 6 months off late-night talks, endless promises, and words that stitched comfort into her loneliness, Bradley finally said what she'd been waiting and fearing to hear. He promised to book her a hotel for safety and comfort. He said, "We'll take it slow. You control everything." The message felt thoughtful, almost protective, but it was the kind of freshness that hides in plain sight. Careful, practiced, persuasive. For 3 days, she couldn't decide. She reread every message, replayed every voice note, searching for any reason not to go. But every word she found whispered the same thing: trust him. And she wanted to, more than she'd ever admit. She said it with a laugh, but inside her stomach twisted with fear and hope tangled together. A ticket to Hawaii was only a click away, and with it, a truth that would change everything she thought she knew about Bradley Thornton. April 15, 2024. The day everything started to move forward or fall apart, Patricia booked her flight, Melbourne to Honolulu, connecting through Sydney. 10 hours in there. 10 hours between the life she knew and the one she imagined waiting for her. Veronica insisted on driving her to the airport. Dawn light cut through the car windows, painting their faces gold. And tired. The air between them felt heavy, a mix of excitement, fear, and unspoken warnings. Neither wanted to say aloud. She checked in, cleared security, and sat by the gate with a small notebook in her lap. On the first page, she wrote only one line: "Maybe. Loneliness ends today." The handwriting wavered slightly, like hope holding its breath. She sat beside an elderly couple visiting their grandson in the Navy. They spoke kindly, offered her a mint, and wished her luck when they learned she was meeting someone especial. Patricia smiled, but her hand never left the small puka shell bracelet around her wrist. The one Bradley mailed weeks earlier, promising it was a piece off Hawaii to keep her safe. The hum of jeans, the smell of recycled air, the weight of hope pressed against her chest like a prayer. For Patricia Henshaw, this wasn't just a flight, it was faith in motion, and below the clouds, in the heart of the Pacific, someone was waiting. April 16, 2024, to 15 p.m. local time. After 10 long hours, Patricia finally arrived in Hawaii. She'd pictured it 100 times. Bradley waiting by the arrivals gate, flowers in hand, smiling like his photos. But when she looked around, there was no sign of him. Just the crowd and the echo of her name on the overhead speakers. Her heart dipped just a little. She told herself it was fine. Emergencies happened. Bradley had a business to run after all. Disappointment masked itself as understanding. That's what love does. It finds excuses before it finds truth. Koa was young, polite, with an easy smileth that didn't quite reach his eyes. Hisker, an old silver Honda Civic, smelled faintly of coconut and gasoline. As they drove toward the North Shore, he asked casually, "You here for vacation?" Patricia smiled softly. "I'm here to meet someone special." She didn't notice how his grip tightened briefly on the steering wheel. 45 minutes later, Thacker slowed to a stop. Patricia expected the warm glow of a beachfront cafe. Laughter, music, maybe even the scent of frosted coffee beans. Instead, Chester'd at a faded yellow apartment complex, peeling paint, laundry flapping from rusted balconies, the kind of place where time stood still. She checked the text again. It was the same address. Her stomach nodded. Maybe he lived upstairs. Maybe. The cafe was just a part of the building. She wanted to believe that needed to. Patricia shared her live location with Veronica, almost out of instinct. Seconds later, a reply blinked across her screen. The air smelled of salt and something chemical. Bleach maybe, or cleaning solution. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the building itself didn't want her there. Her heart thudded against her ribs, that kind of rhythm that warns, but to Letetto turned back. She paused outside. Theodore to 3C hung ajar just enough to lead out. A soft stream of music, a vintage Hawaiian guitar, gentle, out of place. She took a breath, smoothed her hair, and whispered his name. Patricia stepped inside. The apartment was small, a couch pushed against the wall, a tinny kitchenette, blinds pulled tight to block the afternoon light. Everything felt paused, as if the air itself was waiting for something to happen. Then he stepped forward, the man she'd waited half a year to meet, the voice she'd fallen asleep to, the smile she'd memorized through photographs. But Theman standing before her wasn't what she imagined. He was 4 feet 2 and tall, compact from steady gaze, every feature familiar, yet completely different in person. Patricia's breath caught in her throat. Her mind froze between disbelief and guilt. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Her shock wasn't disgust. It was confusion, a sense that truth had been carefully hidden from her. But to him, all she saw, reflected in his eyes, was hurt. Then that hurt hardened into something sharp. Her pulse hammered in her ears. The air grew thick, hot, hard to breathe. The apartment seemed to shrink, every shadow moving closer. The man who once spoke of sunsets and second chances now stared at her with something unrecognizable. She froze. Every instinct screamed to run, but her body wouldn't move. His eyes, once gentle and full of warmth, now burned with something cold, something dangerous. Patricia realized to her teeth that the man she'd trusted for 6 months wasn't the man. She thought she knew. His tone changed, suddenly soft, almost kind, the kind of calm that comes after a storm when everything feels too quiet to be safe. He poured a glass of mango juice, her favorite. He'd remember it that. The gesture felt gentle, considerate, rehearsed. She took it, her fingers brushing his for a second. The air was colder than it should have been. She drank to calm him, to show she wasn't afraid. But within minutes, the edges of the room began to blur. Her tongue felt heavy, her thoughts sluggish. The world tilted, the floor swayed beneath her feet. She tried to stand, but her legs folded like paper. She fell forward, catching herself with trembling hands. The sound of her breath filled the room, sharp, uneven, desperate. She reached for her purse, fingers fumbling for her phone. It buzzed once, twice. Veronica. For a second, hope flickered. Then his hand shot out. The room spun faster now. Colors bled together, melting into each other. Her breath came in gasps. She heard her own voice begging, but it sounded far away, like someone else's. Through fading vision, she saw him move out of the kitchenette. His hand reached inside a drawer. When it emerged, the glint of steel caught the dim light. A knife, small, sharp, steady in his grip. Then nothing, no sound, no light, just stillness. The kind that comes when fearfully gives way to darkness. April 17, 2024, 3 a.m. in Melbourne. Veronica woke up to a sense of wrongness, that silent bone deep panic that doesn't wait for logic. She reached for her phone. 47 missed call sent. To Patricia, none answered. She opened the tracking app I'd set up before the trip. The location dot that once pulsed near the North Shore had gone dark, last seen at apartment 3C. After that, nothing, no signal, no movement. At 6:15 a.m. away time, she reached the Honolulu Police Department. The dispatcher transferred her to Detective Keanu Makoa, a 20-year veteran known for his patience and precision. She told him everything, every message, every photo, every detail she could recall. She attached it all: texts, the fake dating profile, the address of the apartment, even a screenshot of their last conversation. When she hit send, her hands shook. Somewhere across the Pacific, the file uploaded a digital SOS for a woman who might already be gone. Detective Mako arrived at the address later that morning. Officially, it was a welfare kick. Unofficially, he already knew it wouldn't end well. He knocked once, twice, no answer. The apartment was spotless, no sign of struggle, no smell of coffee, no clutter, just the sharp, unmistakable scent of bleach strong enough to sting eyes. In the corner, Patricia suitcase sat untouched, still zipped, the luggage tag reading Henshaw P. On the coffee table, her puka shell bracelet glimmered faintly under the light. 2 glasses stood beside it, one clear, one cloudy, with faint residue clinging to the rim. They called for forensics immediately. The team moved with quiet urgency, swabbing, photographing, documenting every surface, every corner. But there was one thing missing from the scene. Bradley Thornton, or whoever he really was, had vanished. No fingerprints, no wallet, not trace in any Hawaiian registry, just a name that led nowhere. And an empty room that reeked of lies and bleach. Somewhere out there, the waves crashed against the shore, washing away everything except the questions that would haunt Veronica, the detectives, and anyone who ever believed love couldn't be a trap. The evidence from apartment 3C told a story that no one wanted to believe. Under the carpet, hidden by bleach and desperation, the truth was waiting. Luminol testing revealed a pattern consistent with blood spatter, low velocity, close range. Thedna confirmed what everyone feared. The blood belonged to Patricia Henshaw. Their residue inside one of the glasses tested positive for zolpidem, a powerful prescription sedative. Enough to disorient, to weaken, to silence. The security cameras filled in the rest. At 3:45 p.m., Patricia Henshaw entered the building, rolling her suitcase, smiling faintly at the elevator camera. That was last time she was seen alive. At 11:23 p.m. the same night, a man matching Bradley's description exited through the service door, 3 large trash bags dragged behind him. The lobby camera caught the reflection of a puka shell bracelet on the table inside. Apartment 3C still glowing in the dark. Patricia never came out. Detectives traced the trash bags to North Shore landfill. The recovery team spent hours combing through the waste, a grim process of sorting bag by bag. Among the debris, they found bloodied towels, a section of carpet cut, with a box cutter, and cleaning supplies still damp with residue. Forensics linked every trace back to apartment 3C and to Patricia. Subpoenaed phone records shriveled another layer of horror. Between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. on April 16th, searches from Bradley's Devis included each search painted a timeline of intention. The sedative, the cleaning, the disposal, every move calculated, every hour accounted for. At 2:17 a.m. on April 17th, a witness driving along the coastal road saw a man matching Bradley's description, standing at the Haimea Bay overlook staring at Thesia. The next morning, the same spot was empty. Search crews scoured the line for days. No body was ever found. April 18th, just 2 days after Patricia's disappearance, the island was in high alert. A statewide manhunt was launched for Bradley Thornton. The man's name, face, and story were all built on lies. He was spotted at the Honolulu International Airport, moving fast, head down, boarding pass in hand. The ticket was for Manila, the Philippines, a country with no extradition treaty to the U.S. He didn't resist, didn't speak, just stared straight ahead as the officers led him away. The man who once wrote love letters and promised forever now sat insolence, caught between the life he pretended to have and the crime heckled and escape. For 14 hours, they talked. Bradley denied everything, claimed Patricia, left alive, that he had nothing to hide. But with each passing hour, Detective McCoa peeled away the layers of his story. The mask cracked. For the first time, his voice broke, not from guilt, but from something darker. Pride wounded beyond repair. Over the next 2 hours, the story poured out, fragmented, frantic, and horrifying glycolar. Bradley admitted he drugged Patricia's drink to calm her down. Wench tried to crawl toward the door, panicked, stabbing her again and again until she stopped moving. He wrapped her body in a shower curtain, sealed it in plastic sheeting, and waited for nightfall. At 2 a.m., he drove to Ohimia Bay, carried the body to Thecliffe's edge, and tied rocks to harincles before letting the waves take her. Then, he went back to apartment 3 and cleaned for 6 hours, scrubbing away every trace except the truth he cowled never wash off. September 2024, nearly 5 months after Patricia's disappearance, the trial of State of Hawaii versus Bradley James Thornton began at the Honolulu District Court. The world watched as a story of love, deception, and violence unfolded. This time under oath, the prosecution charged him with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. The defense countered with a plea of emotional disturbance, calling it a crime of passion born from rejection, humiliation, and a lifetime of discrimination. But the prosecution's case was clear: premeditation. They showed the receipt for the Zulpidem purchased 3 days before Patricia's flight. Every step of his plan was laid out in digital ink. Witnesses testified only by one. Each word built the walls of truth higher around him. By the time the prosecution rested, the picture was complete, deliberate, cold, and beyond remorse. What began as a romance had ended as a road map to murder. September to 8th, 2024. After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned to the courtroom. Every eye in the room fixed on 12 strangers holding on truth. Bradley showed no emotion as verdict was read. No remorse, no shock, just silence. Veronica wept quietly, clutching a photo of Patricia taken a year before her death. Theckertrum felt both relieved and haunted. Bradley James Thornton was sentenced to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. The courtroom emptied slowly, but the story didn't end there because even in justice, some questions never find answers. After the trial ended, investigators dug deeper. What they uncovered was a trail stretching years across oceans. Women connected by chance, charm, and the same terrible ending. 2019 Fiona Grant, 48, from Vancouver, Canada. She reported being drugged after visiting a man she met online while vacationing in Honolulu. She woke up disoriented in his apartment, but managed to flee before anything worse could happen. The case was closed for lack of evidence. The man's name on the report, Bradley Thornton. 2 years later in 2021, another woman came forward. Helen Morrison, 52, from New Zealand. She'd met Bradley through the same dating app. When they met in person, she questioned why he'd lied about his appearance. He became violent, breaking a glass against the wall. She escaped and filed a restraining order the next day. In 2022, Yuki Tanaka, 45, from Tokyo, traveled to Hawaii to meet her online boyfriend, Alman, who said he ran a beach cafe on the North Shore. She checked into a small hotel in Waikiki and vanished a days later. Her case went cold. No body, no leads, no suspect. When Detective Eskris referenced old reports, a chilling pattern appeared. Similar ages, similar professions, the same dating app, and always the same man. A man who knew exactly how to hide in plain sight. Patricia wasn't his first victim. She was just the first one who couldn't escape. And somewhere in the digital corners of the internet, his old dating profiles were still active, waiting, untouched. Like open traps in the dark dot in the months after the trial, Veronica Appelmer became the quiet voice behind Patricia's memory, determined to make sure her friend's story wasn't just another headline. Her children, Connor in London, Sienna in Singapore, released a joint statement on what their mother's loss truly meant. Veronica still keeps Patricia's last message saved on her phone. A simple line that reads, "May loneliness ends today, sometimes." She plays it, wishing she could answer back. Patricia's story is part of a growing and terrifying trend. Online dating has changed how we connect, but also how predators hunt. 1 in 10 dating profiles are fake. 63% of romance scam victims are women over 50. Thieverage, emotional, and financial loss over $23,000 combined. Since 2020, more than 230 murders have been linked to online dating encounters worldwide. Technology gave us new ways to love, but it also gave predators new masks. And for every Patricia, there are 100 soft stories still waiting to be told. If you use dating apps, remember always video call before meeting. Meet in public places first. Share your location with someone you trust. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it usually is. Never go to someone's private home on a first meeting. And always verify who you're talking to. Patricia Henshaw's body was never recovered from the Pacific Ocean. Her family gathered on Melbourne Street, Kilda Beach, releasing White Rose Cinto the surf, a bridge of petals between the two oceans that could not bring her home. Bradley Thornton now sits behind bars at Halawa Correctional Facility, serving life without parole. In prison interviews, he calls himself victim, claiming society punished him for his size, not his sins. He has never once apologized to Patricia's family. But here's the truth he'll never face. His height didn't make him a killer. His entitlement did. His belief that deception was justified. His fury when the fantasy shattered. His choice to take a life rather than accept rejection. That was never about stature. It was about control. So I ask you, would you still take a chance on love if it came through a screen? How do you protect your heart in a world where trust can be weaponized with a keyboard? And most importantly, if someone you love was about to board a plane to meet a stranger, what would you tell them? Share this story with someone you care about. It might save a life. Tell us in the comments. How do we stay open to love without becoming prey to deception? Subscribe for more stories that demand to be told. And remember, trust is beautiful, but verification is survival.